What's up, mind gardeners? Today I'm going to talk about a subject that is very important to many people, and it's called learning to live inside the storm, depression and emotional instability. There are days when the world feels like it's made of glass, not in the pretty, sun-catching way, but in the fragile way where everything looks one breath away from shattering. On those days, depression doesn't always show up as sadness. Sometimes it arrives as heaviness, like someone poured wet cement into your chest overnight. Sometimes it's emptiness, a strange, numb quiet where even the things you used to love sound far away. And sometimes it's the constant, exhausting whiplash of emotional instability, where you can't tell if you're going to cry in the grocery store aisle or laugh too loudly at something that isn't even funny, just to prove you're still here. If you've never lived it, it can be hard to explain. People often picture depression as lying in bed and staring at the ceiling, and yes, sometimes it is exactly that. But it can also look like showing up to work, responding to texts, keeping a calendar, smiling at the right times, and still feeling like you're failing some invisible test everyone else seems to understand. Emotional instability adds another layer that people don't always talk about with the same seriousness. It's not just being moody, it's feeling like your emotions have no skin, like everything touches a nerve. It's wanting to be calm and steady and rational, and realizing that your inner world is more like weather than a schedule. One of the cruelest parts is the way depression messes with time. It steals the future. It tells you that nothing will change, that this is how you are, that this is how life is. And emotional instability can make that message feel even louder because it throws you around so much that you start to distrust yourself. You might wake up with a little bit of hope and think, maybe today will be different. And then by lunchtime, you're sunk again, staring at a wall, trying to breathe through a wave of despair that you can't explain. The contrast can be brutal. It makes you wonder if you imagine the better moments as if your mind is playing a prank on you. It makes you feel unreliable, like you can't even count on your own feelings to tell the truth. And yet there's a truth that sits underneath all of it, one that takes many people a long time to believe. Your feelings are real, but they're not always accurate. Depression is a convincing storyteller, and emotional instability can be like a megaphone for every fear you've ever had. When you're in it, the thoughts feel factual. I am a burden. I always mess things up. Everyone else has it together. I will never be okay. These thoughts can feel as solid as a table, but thoughts and feelings, even when they're loud, are still experiences, not prophecies. That doesn't mean you can simply think your way out of it, because anyone who's tried knows how insulting that idea can feel. It means the voice of depression is not the only voice available to one you can hear. People don't talk enough about the shame. Depression can be embarrassing. Emotional instability can be embarrassing, not because they should be, but because we live in a world that regards composure and productivity and stays smiles. We're taught early on that being too much is dangerous, that taking up emotional space is a kind of failure. So you learn to hide. You learn to swallow tears, to keep your voice even, to apologize for your tone, to act like you aren't quietly unraveling. You might cancel plans and say you're tired, when the truth is you're afraid you'll break down in front of someone and not know how to put yourself back together. You might isolate not because you don't love people, but because you do, and you don't want to spill your darkness onto their clean floors. The isolation is where things can get really tricky, because depression thrives in silence. Emotional instability too can get worse when you're alone with it. When there's no external reality check, your mind starts looping. You replay conversations and interpret them in the harshest possible way. You convince yourself that you're unlovable because someone took too long to respond. You spiral over small mistakes and turn them into evidence of your worth. Even your body can start to feel like an enemy, buzzing with anxiety or weighted down with exhaustion. Sleep becomes either a desperate escape or a distant, impossible thing. Eating can feel like a chore. Getting dressed can feel like a performance. And all the while, you're trying to act normal because you're not sure who will understand if you don't. The truth is, understanding can be rare, but it is real. And it often starts with one brave moment of honesty. Not necessarily with a grand confession, but with a small sentence that cracks the door open. I've been struggling. I don't feel like myself. I'm not okay right now. Those words can feel terrifying, like you're admitting you're broken, but more often, they're the beginning of being cared for. They're a way of letting someone else hold a corner of the weight. Even if they don't know exactly what to say, the act of being seen matters. It interrupts the lie that you have to do this alone. Support doesn't always arrive in the form we expect either. Sometimes it's therapy, and that's a powerful and practical kind of support that can help you make sense of patterns and build tools you can actually use. Sometimes it's medication, which can be life-changing in a way that is still far too stigmatized. Sometimes it's a friend who doesn't try to fix you, who just sits with you in the mess and reminds you you're still a person worthy of love. Sometimes it's routine, gentle and unglamorous, like drinking water, stepping outside for 5 minutes, taking a shower even if you don't wash your hair, washing one dish, replying to one text. Those things can sound laughably small to someone on the outside, but when you're in the thick of depression, small is heroic. Emotional instability often comes with self-blame. People tell you to regulate, to calm down, to stop overreacting. But regulation isn't a switch, it's a skill. It's something you practice when you're not drowning, so that when the waves hit, you have a little more to grab onto. Learning your patterns helps, not in a judgmental way, but in a curious way. What tends to trigger the spiral? What helps you come down, even slightly? What makes it worse, even when it feels like it should help? Sometimes the goal isn't to feel great. Sometimes the goal is simply to not make it worse, to not send the angry message, to not punish yourself for having a feeling, to pause long enough to remember that this moment will pass, because moments always do. Depression and emotional instability can also distort how you see your own strength. You might look at yourself and see inconsistency when what's actually happening is endurance. You're still here, still moving through days that feel impossible, still trying. That's not weakness, that's resilience in its rawest form. There's a particular kind of courage in surviving what other people can't see. The invisible battles count, the quiet victories count. Asking for help counts. Even reading something like a blog or listening to this podcast and recognizing yourself counts, because it means some part of you is still reaching for light. And there is light. Not always the dramatic kind, not always the kind that floods a room and erases every shadow. Sometimes it's the thin light of early morning, the kind you only notice if you're awake and paying attention. Sometimes it's a laugh that surprises you. Sometimes it's a song that hits your chest in a way that reminds you you can still feel. Sometimes it's the simple relief of being understood by one person, even briefly. Healing is rarely a straight line. It's more like learning a landscape. You learn where the cliffs are, where the mud is, where the safe ground tends to be. You learn what you need when you're slipping. You learn to forgive yourself for sliding back sometimes. You learn that progress can look like fewer days lost, or shorter spirals, or quicker recoveries. You learn that stability is not the absence of emotion, but the ability to return to yourself. If you're in the middle of it right now, I want to offer you something simple and honest. You're not alone, and you're not beyond help. You don't have to earn care by being perfectly composed. You don't have to wait until you can explain everything neatly. You are allowed to reach out even when you feel messy. You're allowed to be human. Depression will tell you you're too far gone, and emotional instability will tell you you're too much. Neither of those voices gets the final word. There's a version of you on the other side of this that you haven't met yet. Not a person who is constantly happy, but a steadier one, a kinder one, a version that knows what it took to get here and doesn't forget it. Keep going, even if your only goal today is to make it through the next hour. Keep going, even if you do it slowly. The storm can be loud, but it doesn't last forever. And you, more than you may be able to see right now, are built to survive it.